Hi everyone, Leticia here. I hope your week has been going well so far. My friends, it's a Saturday, July 5th, 2025. My goodness, I don't usually do my webinars on a weekend. However, I had been, what can I say, procrastinating, getting my slides ready for this webinar. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while to give you guys my impressions of living in Playa del Carmen after 5 years, almost 5 years since I've been living in Playa del Carmen. For those of you who do not know, I'm a Canadian, Romanian Canadian. I used to live in Toronto for 24 years before moving to Playa del Carmen almost 5 years ago. My friends, and just to get right into it, I have prepared some slides for you. And I'll be sharing quite a bit more information than what is on the slides, but I figured I would have just something to guide me as I address different aspects of living in Playa. Give me 1 second so I can share my screen. I want to make sure I'm sharing the correct slide deck. All right. Ta-ta-ta. All right. Okay. And I will go into presentation mode, view slideshow. All right. And I have named this presentation The Good, the Bad, and the Beautiful, inspired by a famous Western movie. But I figured let's keep it positive. Okay, so let's get right into it, mis amigos. One of my favorite things about living in Playa is that we have clear blue skies on most days. That is something I have to say I had come to miss in my last few years of living in Toronto. And I think a lot of you can relate, regardless of where in the world you're living. Yes, and I'm referring to the famous chemtrails. I'm sorry to have to start with this, and I'm sharing it from my perspective of living here, where we actually get to see fluffy white clouds. Which, if you're living in Canada, the U.S., most of Europe, this is a sight you will miss by now. Okay, they do chemtrail here as well, not nearly as much. Here, they tend to do it on special occasions. For example, in our highest tourist season of the year, which is Christmas in New York, New York. New Year's Eve week, that's when they try to do it. They do it on special holidays. So, I mean, definitely the puppet masters are still doing their thing even here, but a lot less so than in Canada and the US and most of the world. So that's a positive for me. Again, in my last 4 years of living in Toronto, I had become so aggravated. I could almost never see the blue skies. It was always a gray haze. And again, if you're living in one of these other cities or across the world, this is something that no doubt you have noticed as well. And it's an open secret. It's something that the powers not to be are continuing to deny that is being done onto the population. I don't usually talk about these things on my Freedom Playa channel. However, I felt this is sincerely one of the best things about living here. And I'm grateful that, at least for whatever reason, it's not being done as much here, or a lot less. And I'd like to say that definitely my mental, emotional health is better since I'm living here under these blue skies. Okay. Let's move on to next. Alongside with that, what I love about Playa is the healthy lifestyle. This image you see here is of a sports arena, a sports complex that is located right in the heart of the walkable touristy part of Playa. It's called Mario Villanueva Sports Complex. It is open to the public, and it's home to many running clubs, functional fitness classes, very affordable classes. Some of them are by donation. We have tennis courts, paddle courts, multiple gyms, and multiple yoga studios. If you're looking to live a healthy lifestyle, definitely Playa is a place that will very much allow you to do so. Okay, we have an increasing number of healthy food options, restaurant options, and groceries are very affordable here. I may do a whole separate video about the cost of living. I will touch on the cost of living, but definitely fruits and veggies are extremely affordable. I don't eat meat myself, so I wouldn't be able to comment on that. But in general, unless you're buying international products, again, I'll get into that. International products will be at equivalent price. But if you're buying fruits and veggies at the markets, at the local grocery stores, that's super affordable, okay? Again, alongside with the, no, I meant to give, okay, there was a note for myself, but I didn't remove it from the slides. We also have, again, in keeping up with a healthy lifestyle, we have a couple of spas that you can acquire a membership at, quite reasonable. I had a membership at the spa. It's better if you do it on an annual basis. This is a picture of the spa at the Reef 28. It's one of the beautiful hotels we have here. And again, their spa is open to the public. And again, if you are looking to do any sort of healing ceremonies, ayahuasca, cacao ceremonies, other medicinal plants, and ice baths. Reconnect is a group here in Playa that runs frequent ice baths, and maybe I'll tag them on YouTube. And yeah, I'll tag them on YouTube because they have a YouTube channel as well. They're wonderful. Another great thing about Playa and why it's such an easy landing spot for many foreigners that come and live here, whether part-time or full-time, is the walkability. This is a picture of the famous pedestrian-only street that we have here in Playa called Fifth Avenue or Quinta Avenida. That being said, there are blocks upon blocks of walkability. We have, and I've spoken about this in a lot of my real estate related videos, where you could be at the beach in 10 to 15 minutes, depending on where you are, this walkable part of Playa. Like I said, in my first, as this slide says, in my first 4 years of living here, I got around on a bike and just walking. Other people just get by on scooters, electric bike. I do currently have a car. It helps in my line of work. I work as a realtor here, and also helps to take my son to school for those 7 a.m. starts. It does help to have a car, but you're not going to miss it, especially if you're here as a single individual or even as a couple and you guys are digital nomads. You could easily be living in this walkable part of Playa and be 2 blocks away from a grocery store, surrounded by beautiful cafes, restaurants, walking distance to the beach. It makes life very easy. Okay, another thing I love about Playa, and by the way, you may have noticed that I labeled the slides the good, the bad, and then I labeled some as the neutral, and I meant to have a slide about the beautiful. I didn't have a chance to do that, but I'll tell you what I had in mind. We have a lot of communities in Playa. This is a picture of our local Toastmasters club called Inspiring Speakers PDC. This is a community that got started about a year and a half ago. I am proud and honored that I was one of the founding members, and I'm also the most recent president of this club. As of 2 days ago, I handed over the leadership to a new executive committee, and I'm really happy that I'm sure the community will continue successfully. Toastmasters, in case you may not know, is an international leadership and public speaking development organization with a presence in something like 148 countries in the world. And we started the first English-speaking Toastmasters club in Playa. There are a couple of Spanish-speaking clubs as well. And that happens every Thursday night. So if you're looking for all kinds of beautiful, positive communities, we have also a philosophy club that takes place every Tuesday night. Every week they pick a theme to discuss. It could be really any theme, and you get into some beautiful, deep, meaningful conversations with others. You get to meet, you get to know people on a deeper level. It's a beautiful way to connect. We have a book club, a chess club, bingo night, language exchange. We have a digital nomad meetup every Wednesday night. We have Playa is a hotel here, and there's a rooftop where every Friday night they have expat and locals meetups. And there is a huge dance community every night of the week. If you like dancing, salsa, bachata, kizomba, zouk. I mean, there are some dances I haven't even heard of until I came here. There is a huge dance scene. And so if you enjoy that sort of scene, you'll be happy here. Another thing I love about Playa is the diversity, both from a cultural perspective and also from an age perspective. We have people from their 20s to their 70s and 80s living in Playa. And it is very diverse. We have a combination of Mexican people from literally most other states in Mexico. And we have American, Canadian expats, and as well as a lot of Western Europeans from countries like England, France, some of the Northern European countries, definitely a lot from England and France, okay? Of course, I would be amiss or remiss, what's the word, if I didn't speak about our beautiful beaches and cenotes. And beautiful thing about Playa in particular is that you have very easy public beach access. That cannot be said about places like Tulum or Cancun, which are the other nearby communities to here. In Cancun, you would have beach access if you are in the Cancun hotel zone. That's a whole different scene out there. We can talk about it. Definitely the walkability to the beach is a plus of this area. The cenotes are a unique geographical feature of the Riviera Maya, and they are found all over the Yucatan Peninsula. We have cenotes within a 15-20 minute drive of Playa del Carmen, and again, you can access them via, we have public transportation buses that can take you there in case you don't have a car. Very affordable entry fees, and they are these crystalline bodies of water that are a mix of underground sweet water, so to speak, and the seawater. And they're very refreshing on those hot summer days. And my son and I really love going to there. In addition to that, we also have many nature themed parks. If you've been to this area, you know that there is the Eshkaret family of parks. They have about 5 different parks, and these are adventure themed parks. If you are a local, meaning a resident, you get a significant discount on the entry to these parks. So it definitely makes for a beautiful lifestyle in communion with nature. Okay, another great thing about this area is the accessibility. We have very good international connectivity, both thanks to Cancun International Airport and most recently now with the Tulum International Airport. And as you may also be aware, the previous president completed the construction of the Mayan train. This was a very ambitious infrastructure project, high velocity train connecting 5 different states in this part of Mexico, including quite a few destinations within the state of Quintana Roo, which is where Playa del Carmen is located, and also the state of Yucatan, and I believe Campeche, which is another state. It's I haven't yet taken the train. I haven't had a reason to, but I know I'm wanting to check out some of the archaeological sites that are a little bit off the beaten road, and that's what this train will allow visitors to do. It links to some emerging tourist destinations in the heart of the Yucatan Peninsula. So very interesting. That's a picture of the Tulum International Airport. I did have the pleasure of flying out of there. It's very beautiful. It's modern. It's like a boutique airport. It's modern, beautiful, and it has increasing international connectivity. Definitely for national flights, it's really good. In terms of the Cancun airport, to give you an idea, my friends, I flew direct from Cancun International to Istanbul a couple of summers ago, and it was like $1,100, and that was for a return flight. And it was a direct flight from Cancun to Istanbul, and from there I had another short flight to Bucharest because that's where I was primarily going. Okay, let's talk about the cost of living. I know that when many people, and I'm putting this as a neutral, not good, not bad. I know that when people consider moving to Mexico or even relocating here for part of the year, they think, of course, it's going to be cheaper than living in Canada or the US, for example, or in Western Europe. And in some way it is. Again, I happen to live previously in a high cost of living city, Toronto. I know, and here, what I'm saying on the slides is correct. So in terms of rents, price of homes, significantly lower here versus a big city like Toronto, New York, Miami, no doubt about it. LA, no doubt about it. However, if you're coming from a big city in the US, in the US Midwest, for example, you will likely find that rents here are not going to be that inexpensive. And I think it has a lot to do with your lifestyle expectations. If you're coming here expecting to live in a luxury building, with a pool, with a gym, with all these beautiful amenities, walking distance to the beach, you can expect to spend at least $1,000 a month for 1 bedroom. And for a 2-bedroom, you're looking no less than $1,500 US a month for this style of building. Now, if you are content to live in a more colonial style, older style, Mexican style building, if I can call it that, then you may find more affordable options. For example, a 2-bedroom in that style may run you around 1,000 US a month. And then if you're the further you are from the beach, and again, I have other videos that speak about the rents here and the costs of properties, the further away you are from the beach, for example, if you are on the non-beach side of the Cancun Playa del Carmen highway, rents and property prices go down significantly on that side of the highway. I am kind of overdue to do a rental market update. Maybe I'll do that in an upcoming seminar soon, webinar. Okay, one surprise that I had is gasoline, my friends, is more expensive here than in Canada and the US. And to give you an idea, and again, I wouldn't have had any idea until I bought a car, and then I had a bit of a sticker shock. And I just did the math because I'm used to thinking in pesos now that I live here. But to give you an idea, I wrote it down. How much is the gas? Okay. Oh, where did I write it? Hi, mis amigos. I'm sorry. I'm so well organized. I have it here. Okay, well, regular gas is 25 pesos per liter, which comes to $1.37 US per liter. But I know in the US, you guys are not used to thinking per liter. You're thinking more per gallon. So multiply that by 4 to get the price per gallon. And that comes to 189 Canadian dollars per liter, okay? That is more than in places like Toronto right now. And if your car needs premium gas, that's 27 pesos per liter, which comes to 145 US per liter, or 198 Canadian per liter, okay? So if you are planning on driving, I don't know why you would be, but if you are, maybe you are in the real estate business, or maybe you take a job that's further out of town, the more driving you're going to do, you're going to feel that, okay? That being said, groceries are definitely more affordable. As I was saying, the price of fruits and veggies is so inexpensive. I'm very grateful for that. Myself, I'm a vegan, so that's really good for me. Now, if you're going to be going out to eat frequently, that adds up pretty much anywhere you may be in the world. And keep in mind, Playa is a worldwide tourist destination. We have a very beautiful touristic area around Fifth Avenue, Calle 38. If you're going to be going out weekly or frequently, for sure, your budget, you need to keep that in mind. Your wallet will feel that. As a local, I know where the best places are, including in terms of vegan food. So there are some places that are better priced than others. If you're not a vegan, oh my gosh, we definitely have taco stands on every corner. There is very affordable street food here. Not many vegan options for that. So that's a little adjustment for me, because having come from a big city like Toronto, we had a lot of vegan pizza places, and we had affordable vegan street food or equivalent. So a bit of an adjustment. Oh yeah, salon visits, ladies. If you are a bottle blonde like me, mucho dinero. So it's going to be same price or more expensive than what you're paying back home. That came again as a surprise to me. And if you're going to be buying any kind of imported products, nut butters, any international goods, that's going to be priced like it's going to be same price or higher than what you were paying back home. That makes sense in a way. However, if you're sticking primarily to local produce, local products, your cost of living, at least in terms of groceries, is going to be very affordable. Okay. And okay, let's talk about again what I have as the bad, limited work opportunities. Well, let's keep in mind this whole area developed primarily. Well, initially it was a fishing village and a fishing destination, and after that it became a huge tourism destination. We have many 5-star resorts. We have huge investment in hotel infrastructure. It is a beach town. The beaches continue to be one of the big draws of the area. The year-round good weather. So, but if you're coming here with the idea of finding work here, I just need you to be realistic about what you're getting into, because unless you're in one of these industries or are prepared to work in one of these industries, I think you'd be much better off if you have an online source of income. Of course, if you're retired, have a pension coming in, that's a non-issue for you. Medical tourism is definitely one of the other strong industries here. A lot of Westerners come here. to get dental work done, for example. And Cancun, definitely more so than Playa, has a much larger private hospital infrastructure. Medical tourism is a thing. Okay, so again, if you are in one of these industries or are okay to work in one of these industries, you'll be fine and you can earn Western equivalent money. Okay, however, if you're if you're coming here without any kind of plan, I mean, I'm very lucky that I fell into the real estate industry and I've been able to sustain myself working in real estate. Not everybody's going to have those kinds of skills, or it's okay to work in a 100% commission industry. So you need to be realistic with yourself, okay, my friends. And another, on the flip side of that, if you are let's say an ambitious entrepreneur, I know, as Tony Robbins used to say, or he often says, proximity is power. So if you are looking to raise funds, venture capital for your business, you are going to want to be in places where you're more likely to find that. A beach town in Mexico is not going to be that. Okay, let's be realistic. So on the other hand, if you have an online business, you already have mentors that you follow, you'll probably be okay in Playa. Okay, I think your safest bet, if you're looking to make a move here on a medium to long term basis, or even on a part-time basis, being able to earn income online will make your life a lot easier. Okay, because I also happen to know that the we certainly have, there is an abundance of hospitality industry jobs here. However, they are not well paid. Let's be realistic. We do have a lot of Argentinian youth, for example, who come and do these jobs that unfortunately not even the Mexicans would like to do, because they're very poorly paid. So we have that kind of immigration. But if you're coming from a Western country and thinking that you're going to be working as a waiter here or what have you, you're going to be very unhappy with the wages. Okay, I want to keep it real here, my friends. And yeah, one of my Canadian amigas, who's also been here for a number of years, she feels like there's not a lot of builder energy here unless you create it. And she used to run an event called Present Your Pitch in Playa, and this was a monthly event. Unfortunately, it became, well, she's not doing it anymore. I think it was a lot of work for her, but it was definitely a worthwhile event, and I would love for something like that to still exist in Playa. We do have, I think, as the city grows, we're gonna see more and more of this vibe. We certainly have a lot of online entrepreneurs, business coaches, people that make their living online that live here, the digital nomad community. Okay, let's talk about, alongside with the industries that we have, which are primarily tourism and real estate, there is seasonality to the Playa market. Our high tourist season of the year is November to April. That's when we have a lot of snowbirds that flock to here, a lot of Canadians, Americans, snowbirds. And then the rest of the year, the summer months are quieter in Playa. And if you are a property owner here, you need to be realistic about your rental income expectations. There is an average, and now we have an increasing number of things after COVID, because I wasn't here. I only moved here during COVID. So the whole digital nomad online work phenomenon definitely escalated after COVID. And as a result, we now have a lot of digital nomad singles and couples, people that choose to make Playa their year-round home, or at least their primary home base, while they enjoy travels to Europe, North and South America. And so these people, of course, if they make Playa their full-time home, they're going to be signing a long-term lease, or they'll be buying here. And so anyway, my channel is primarily related to real estate in Playa del Carmen and the Riviera Maya. So I have other videos that talk about real estate specifically, including about rental income that you can expect. It's just something to keep in mind, the seasonality here. We know, and I know from having lived in Ontario for so many years, there are seasonal industries there as well, especially in places like cottage country. So if you are a property owner in those areas, or you run a seasonal business, you need to take that in mind. Keep that in mind. Okay. Next. Oh, dating. Okay, my friends. I was almost gonna put this as the bad. Okay, but let's be real. I'm a single woman. I moved here, my gosh, almost 5 years ago, and I don't want to go into too many personal details. My first attempt at a relationship here did not work out very well. It was with somebody who turned out to be married and lied about his single status. Unfortunately, well, what to say? I should have trusted my intuition more at the time, and I was naive and blah, blah, blah. I think people are going to complain about the dating scene virtually in every city they're in. So I don't want to talk about that. If you're coming here as a single person, I think you also need to have realistic expectations. If you're coming here as a couple, amazing. Stay with your loved one and live happily ever after. I pray that you do that, okay? That being said, again, if you're coming here as a single person, hoping to meet somebody, there are some additional considerations that apply to this city in particular that I don't think would apply necessarily to a big city like Toronto or any other big city that is not of this nature. So the fact that Playa is a tourist town and has also become one of the destinations on the circuit of digital nomads. There are other digital nomad stopover destinations. Some places in Europe, Medellin, Colombia has increasingly become one of these destinations. Again, if you're a single person, you need to be aware of what you're getting into. This being said, I have met couples that have met here and they decided to make a life together, have children together, get married. I have met at least two couples like this, and I've met more couples that where they were both digital nomads and they met in Playa, but now they ended up moving somewhere else in the world, maybe to where one of their homes was located, their main home. And so, I mean, there are definitely opportunities. I think if you come here as a single person hoping to find love, I think definitely it will be helpful to speak Spanish because that opens you up to more opportunities. Otherwise, your dating pool is limited to the expat community, of which we do have a sizable expat community. I don't know what the numbers are, to be honest, but we definitely have a sizable expat community. But again, I think speaking Spanish would open you up to more possibilities. Playa is a city of 350,000 people. There are people of all ages living here. And nearby Cancun is a city of 1 million people, if not more by now. So you do have options. There is an additional consideration that, of course, someone like me has to take in. I'm taking into account because there's a reason I got out of Canada during COVID, and some of you know that I was not in favor of the coerced injections. Okay, so that has continued to be an issue on the dating scene here. If you are looking for somebody who hasn't taken those things, whether here or anywhere in the world, you're looking for a minority in the population, because here as well, there was coercement involved. If anybody who worked a job here, just like in Canada, just like in many places in the US and other places in the world, they were asked to present certificates before they could return to work. So, and some people were able to get the paperwork done without necessarily, well, you know what I mean. I'm not going to get into further details, but that is definitely a complicating factor in the dating world, and I think that's everywhere in the world. I do find, the additional considerations here would be the transiency of the city, and also, Playa and Mexico, Tulum, Riviera Maya, they're known to be a place for healing, so people will come here. I have come across a number of people that came here after a divorce, wanting to heal. And obviously, somebody that's fresh out of a divorce or a long-term relationship, that's just additional considerations you have to keep in mind. Okay, I'm not gonna go any further into that. I think you catch my drift. Okay, next. Okay, one of the things, but I wanted to touch on the dating thing because it will be a consideration for some of you, especially if you're single and thinking of moving here with the idea of meeting somebody. Again, I'd like to come in with open eyes. Okay, gracias. Okay, next. A less controversial topic. Well, I love controversy. I'm joking. Well, the hot summer weather, this is a frequent complaint about people that make Playa home. It gets very hot and humid here in the summertime, and specifically between the months of May through September. Now, I remember when I moved to Toronto now it would have been like 30 years ago, we had similar very hot and humid summer weather. Things are not normal anymore with the weather there and in many parts of the world for the reasons I stated earlier. So, we don't have those hot and humid summers anymore. Here we are by the tropics. It is hot and sweaty. That being said, because we are by the water, we do get a constant breeze, which is a welcome relief. That being said, I do try to avoid at this time of the year, July, August. I try to avoid being out at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. That the sun is blazing hot. When people go out, you'll see them using umbrellas. The one thing, again, the breeze really helps. And having also spent a bit of time in Merida and places like Las Vegas, they have a different type of heat. I don't want to get into, again, controversy or anything, because some people prefer the dry heat. I found that more difficult to handle in Merida, for example, which is Merida is another common and popular expat destination located in the heart of the Yucatan Peninsula. Because they're further away from the water, they don't get the breeze that we have, and I found the weather there truly unbearable, and I felt like my skin was going to catch fire. Again, some people prefer the dry heat. I would rather have the humidity plus the breeze. I find that easier to handle. That being said, for me, I've already chosen to make Playa my home, but I did find, and I did consider making Merida my home, and weather was one of the reasons why I chose not to. There were other reasons involved as well that I'm not going to get into right now. Let's stick to Playa del Carmen for now. Okay, next, mis amigos. Oh, yes, everybody's favorite topic, safety. Isn't Mexico so dangerous? Okay, sorry to sound like that, but as you know, sorry, let me see how we're doing. There you are. Some people are watching. Well, God bless you. Thank you for watching. I want to get back to the slides. Yeah. The news media loves to badmouth Mexico and talk about how unsafe it is. And my friends, I'm not going to deny that there are parts of Mexico where horrible things happen related to organized crime, no doubt about it. That being said, this area in particular, and I know this from Mexicans themselves who have moved here and told me this area in particular is I would like to say it's like the crown jewel of Mexico. It's the cash cow of Mexico in terms of income, and all levels of government here really keep an eye on safety. And so if you're going to come to Playa del Carmen or any of these cities in the Riviera Maya, but I can primarily speak about Playa because I live here, you're going to find police presence, you're going to find Marines, and there's something called Guardia Nacional, which is it's an arm of the military, in my understanding. I'm not an expert on this, but you're going to see them patrolling around. And I've been living here for almost 5 years. I moved here as a single mom with my dear son, and no problemo. Okay. That being said, I stick to primarily daytime activities. Being a mom to a young child, I don't go out late at night. If you are into the nightclub culture and you're planning on being out till 4 a.m., there are, I think, in every city in the world, there are more chances of incidents happening, late at night. The one time I witnessed a violent incident was the one time I went out late at night to a nightclub, and we were coming out at 4 a.m. This was like very early in my time in Playa, and I witnessed like a street fight, and that was very, very uncomfortable, and no gracias. But thankfully for me, again, I stick to daytime activities, and todo bien, todo tranquilo. Everything has been fine. Okay. Okay, the bad. Okay, my friends, let's talk about this. This is something that unfortunately is a pain point for me. And there's a very limited cultural scene. Okay, this is a beach town. If you're into going to upscale cultural events, this is not the place. Okay. Um, that being said, if you're coming from a mid-sized city where maybe that wasn't really a factor for you, or you're not really into that, then you may not care as much. I personally was a frequent visitor at the Royal Ontario Museum. I was actually members of the Young Patron Circle at the ROM, at the Royal Ontario Museum. So I was really into this kind of experiences. And in the time that I've been living here, I've had Symphony, did I spell that correctly? Yeah, I've had very limited opportunities to experience this sort of upscale cultural experiences. We do have a venue, a beautiful upscale venue called Teatro de la Ciudad, the Theater of the City, where they do have they have multiple times a week. They have shows. It is my fault for not keeping up with what is going on, because I really could benefit to go there more often. I'm really I enjoy that. I enjoy cultural performances. I enjoy the cultural scene, and that's something that in Playa, if anything, we could say it's emergent. I do want to commend the new mayor because she is putting more emphasis on the cultural scene. Lately, she's been having almost weekly music festivals where she invites bands from literally other parts of Mexico, countries like Belize. Belize is our neighbor country to the south, one of our neighbor countries to the south. So and that those are performances open to the public, and they take place at least every weekend or almost every weekend in front of the Palacio Municipal. This month of June was Pride Month, and they had um, those types of performances. They had a drag show, things like that. I like that. I like that despite the fact that it's a small city. It is from that perspective, by the way. And I'm not a member of that community, so I don't want to speak to what I don't know. But from what I can see, it's an inclusive and tolerant place to live. And again, I acknowledge the fact that the city has these types of events for the LGBTQ community, for example. Okay, I think the name is now officially much longer than that, but you get what I'm saying. That being said, again, if you are really into culture, I would say you're going to need to get your fix elsewhere. So there are some solutions. There are inexpensive flights to places like Mexico City. Mexico City is the city in the world that has the most museums, according to the bus tour that I took when I was there. So definitely, if culture is your thing, you're gonna wanna get out of Playa to be able to have these experiences. No doubt about it, and I want to be very straight up with you about that. Okay, there are affordable flights to Mexico City. I've taken a couple of trips, mind you. It was for one time it was for mountaineering. I didn't actually really take in the cultural scene. Mexico City is not a city I personally would consider living in because the air quality there was horrendous. Sorry to say. Some of you may not care, but I couldn't because of the air quality in itself. What can I say? So definitely, if upscale cultural experiences are your thing, you're gonna want to make arrangements to have those probably outside of Playa. There are recently one of the local hotels was organizing a concert in a cenote, something totally amazing. But this is one of the five-star hotels, and they were charging $650 US per ticket. I was like, okay, guys, por favor y gracias. Thank you, but no. All right. But some people may be okay with that. Thank you. All right. Next. Okay. Yeah, that's another thing that unfortunately they didn't plan very well in Playa, at least on the part of Playa that's already built. There are only a handful of parks. I lived in a big city before where we had plenty of parks in Toronto, and previously I lived in Bucharest, which also has many parks. I do think that there is more planning as Playa keeps growing as a city, especially on the non-beach side of the highway. It is my understanding that there is an urban development plan that will provide for more green areas, and I think that is most welcome. Obviously, we have the beach, and that in itself you could look at it as almost like a national park in a way, because it's a beautiful beach, and a lot of people enjoy walking by the beach and so on. Again, it is a pet peeve of mine that there are not enough parks in my experience. So not yeah, few. Okay, another pet peeve, okay, getting into the bad, limited recycling program. Again, having come from a city where we kind of take it for granted that you separate your recycling. We do have a city-run recycling program here. It is in its infancy. I noticed that the garbage collection people, they separate at least aluminum cans. There are some private initiatives. There's an initiative that every 2 weeks they come and pick up from your location. You have to let them know the day before, hey guys, I need pickup from this location, and they'll come and they'll then redistribute the recyclables. I think they sell them for like pennies to the various. There are some recycling facilities in the area, and again, these private initiatives are currently filling the gap. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that at least there's something. But I remember, one of the first things that I noticed here is just how people just throw plastic bottles in the garbage, and I was like, oh no, that hurts me. I can't. Garbage on the streets. I remember watching a video of another expat that, now again, this is more so in the areas that are less touristy. I find again the mayor here is very much on the ball, and at least in the touristy part of Playa, the streets are kept as clean as possible. I do think, again, seeing this in another expat video, an expat that lived in a different city in Merida, I forget where, in a city in Mexico. I think it might have been Merida, maybe somewhere else. He said that in his experience, Mexican people seem to have like a high tolerance for garbage on the streets. Again, if you're coming from a place like Toronto or perhaps somewhere like Germany where you're used to having everything super clean, that may be a bit of a cultural shock to you when you come here, that you're going to see litter, just litter on the streets, and people don't seem to care so much. Again, I do acknowledge the current mayor for keeping things as clean as possible, at least in the touristy part of town. But I do think some of it is cultural, and I think more education needs to take place of the population, which is like, hey man, don't throw the garbage out in the streets, okay? Um, yeah, I mean, what can I say? The whole city of Playa del Carmen, I think, recently celebrated its 30th anniversary. So it's a new place, and some of the things that we take for granted in a much larger, much more established city are still in their infancy here. Recycling being one of them. Okay, and in conclusion, okay, my friends, Playa is for you if you're looking to live a healthy lifestyle and enjoy a reasonable cost of living. If you have a remote job, online business, if you speak at least some Spanish and have experience in the hospitality industry at a management level. I did want to say, for example, that I have met local people that work here in the hospitality industry, working at some of these five-star resorts. They get paid really well, and they get room and boarding. They get to literally live at the resorts. So there are definitely work opportunities in that industry if you have experience in that, and or if you're retired or semi-retired and you have you have income coming in, and you're looking for a peaceful place with year-round good weather. And I think that would be great if you work in sales, whether real estate, timeshare, or if you're okay to work in sales, that could be another option for you. Okay. And what else? But definitely, if you're looking for a place with year-round good weather and with a healthy lifestyle, this is definitely, Playa can definitely be such a place. Okay. And so, my friends, thanks for watching. And if you are interested in renting or buying a place in this area, that's my contact info. I know this particular video was not real estate related in particular, but I figured, for those of you who are considering making a move to Playa del Carmen, to Mexico in general, and especially in Playa in particular, I wanted to just give you guys, to give you guys some insights as somebody who's been making Playa home for almost 5 years now. I did want to put a slide in there about the beautiful. The beautiful are the people. There are lots of gorgeous people in Playa, lots of fit people that are into a healthy lifestyle. We have many people that make their living as online coaches, influencers, and who appreciate living a healthy lifestyle. So don't be surprised if you come in Playa and you're going to see lots of gorgeous people. In some ways, it reminds me of Miami, but I would say a lot more holistic, a lot more of a holistic vibe, less plastic, if you know what I mean. Okay. I hope this is not too controversial. Much love to all of you. Thank you for thank you for watching, everyone, and have a great rest of your weekend. Okay. Bye. See you next time.